Welcome everyone. Welcome to Stories of Resilience. We're highlighting stories of resilience in hopes of providing encouragement, of providing hope in the various challenges that you may face in your life. Today's special guest is Anela, our wellness coordinator here at Project Hope at Okapaka. So welcome, and then before we dive into your story, would you like to introduce yourself and share a little bit about what you do here at Okapaka?
Yeah, thank you, Kayla, for having me. So at Project Hope, as a wellness coordinator, I do a lot of outreach work with clients, and I work in public libraries, schools, kind of all over the place, and then I have my own caseload as well.
That's really exciting, and I hear you're also in school.
Yes. I'm currently pursuing my MSW at ASU right now.
That's super awesome. Booked and busy.
Yes, you too.
I know. Yeah. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about women's health. So I kind of wanted to open with what has your journey with health been?
Yeah, I'm so grateful that I have this platform to talk about this, and thank you for being here and holding the space. It's something that I'm really passionate about because I feel like women's health is underfunded, overlooked, and just also kind of like a taboo thing to talk about unless it's like pregnancy. But even then, right, there's not a lot of discourse around like postpartum, right? So which is not really what I'm going to be talking about today, but essentially for me, my health journey and like a chronic pain that I've dealt with, and I recently just kind of got diagnosed with, was endometriosis. So that's been really recent actually, but I've had symptoms since like my middle to like last year of college, and I'm 28, so that's like almost been a 10-year journey.
That's tough.
Yeah, but that's like the average time it takes for a woman to get diagnosed with endo. So unfortunately, like I'm not the only one. But yeah.
So I'm curious, you from what was it like kind of in that late college stage when you're noticing some things maybe not quote unquote normal, where you're experiencing these symptoms that make you feel a little alarmed but you're not exactly sure like what it is, like what was that like?
Yeah, totally. Thank you for asking. I mean, since I remember, I had my period when I was really young. I was 9 years old when I had my first period, and they were always very difficult. Like when I was young, I would have migraines, so much so that I had to get prescription medication. It was really, really difficult. And then when I was in high school, kind of same thing. And then in college, it just got so bad. A lot of my symptoms were kind of mitigated by birth control because I was on that for a good part of like college and high school. But they kind of masked the things that were going on. When I kind of started to get off of it, that's when I noticed I had ovarian cysts. I had an ovarian cyst rupture when I was in school.
Oh my goodness.
I was walking back from my dorm class, or backpacking to my dorm from class, and I experienced a cyst rupture eventually. That's essentially. It was very painful. But yeah, I just noticed I had a lot of chronic pain, and a lot of like what people that are diagnosed with endo experience is a lot of just like general pelvic pain, the pain with intimacy, pain going to the bathroom, like pain like existing. So a lot of that was happening, and thankfully at that time, I had health insurance. I was still on my mom's like health insurance, and this was when I was living in Hawaii, going to school. And I saw like a special a urogynecologist, and because I'd go to the urgent care and they'd be like, you have a UTI, but even though my cultures would be negative, they're like, no, like you have like a UTI. So it was a lot of that.
Wow.
So I definitely experienced, it feels so intense to say medical gaslighting, but it was definitely a lot of, I think just like a lack of ignorance on like what I had. And a lot of physicians are just not trained in it, even if they're women's health specialists, because it's just, even like a regular OB wouldn't really specialize in endo. So I know I kind of went a long way with that answer.
It's like obviously you probably had like a lot of appointments that you had to go to, and trying to search for answers. Like, how did you eventually get to the point where you finally found like you said, like a specialist that just finally got it?
Yeah, so honestly, not till like the last few months. So I was originally diagnosed with interstitial cystitis by that urogynecologist many years ago. And so basically what that is just like a bladder condition to where you get really irritated to anything like acidic or all the fun things. So like coffee and chocolate and all these things, like your bladder's like, no, can't do it. So that's what she thought I had. I followed a diet and eventually the symptoms kind of like quieted down, but they never fully like went away. And then like years, it's kind of come back through I think we'll touch on this a little bit with like stress, and I've had like familial stress in my life the last like couple years, and I've experienced that. And also just as you get older, endo can, you know, pop up and flare and just be more predominant as it grows in your body. But anyways, I just really just began advocating for myself, and this sounds really bad, but like going through Reddit, going through social media was really validating for me, because I would find other women that were experiencing the same things, and that led me to advocate to my doctor and be like, I think I might have this, I need to talk to a specialist. And eventually I got connected with a women's health pelvic pain physical therapist. So that's actually what I'm currently doing right now. And I'm really privileged to do it because it's expensive. And I pay for out-of-network services.
Oh man, that's tough.
Yeah. So just, it's very recent that I'm actually getting like the care that I needed, where people are actually, oh yeah, you have this. Like a lot of women experience this. Like that's a very normal, like, yeah, you probably have endo, you know, this, that, whatever. Yeah, and it's a very scary thing because it's something that like I could get surgery for eventually. Because there's like no cure for it. And essentially endometriosis is just like when you have lesions that grow outside of the uterus, and it can cause a lot of inflammation in your body, that can result in a lot of pain. So yeah, it's definitely something that I'm still processing the weight of the diagnosis, and something that I'm grateful that I have the resources for, but it's difficult because even the endometriosis surgeon that I've consulted with and has like approved me for surgery has also said like, this is just like where we're at in women's health. And as much as they are gracious and like, you know, will give you the resources I need, I'm very thankful the female doctors I've worked with are like, they understand to an extent, but they're also limited, you know, in their capacity with the resources they have. And just like where kind of like science has like found us in terms of research. So big things. It's like systemic.
It's well, first of all, I kind of want to validate, like, I don't think you're crazy or anything for going on Reddit, because I mean, you know, I think when you're facing those sort of health challenges and you're going to the doctor, but it feels like they don't quite have the answers for you, but you know your body, right? And you know what you're going through. I think it's natural to kind of search for answers, and the fact that, you know, really fortunately it was able to lead you to some clarity, that's really great. So I'm really happy that you finally got your diagnosis. At the same time, I feel like you're kind of speaking to like, it took you 10 years to get diagnosed, but now that you're diagnosed, another journey is kind of beginning, where it's like, okay, now I know what's going on, I have a lot more resources, a lot more knowledge, and I have a care team. But then like, it's almost like the real work is just beginning, and trying to like address and integrate how this diagnosis is going to affect your life and what you want to do about the information you have now. It's definitely brought up a lot of grief, just in like the limitations in my body, and like a lot of shame, and like asking for help, or even I come from like a family of a lot of nurses, and so, you know, there's that balance of like, okay, coming from API heritage where like there's an emphasis on a lot of holistic healing, and there's, you know, thankfully a lot of my family members are really healthy, but they're not on prescription medication. So even for me, I had to overcome that hurdle of like, there's this shame of like accepting the medication, or this like lack of trust. And some of that is too just like from being kind of like put on the pill without much knowledge when I was so young, and how it affects my body now, which is a very real thing that I think is probably kind of taboo to talk about.
But it's a real thing, and it's our bodies that, you know, most women are prescribed birth control before they're the age of 20. Like, your body's still going through such immense changes,
Right.
and it's a lot. And so that's definitely a very sensitive conversation, but I think that's an important one to have. But yeah, I think it's definitely catapulted me onto a whole new, like, okay, now I have this layer of acceptance, and it's like this relief, but also like, yeah, what is this going to look like for me for the rest of my life? And yeah, I think I'm just like, it makes me really passionate about intertwining this awareness into like the services that I give, you know, into the care. Like, I'm very like body focused. I like to kind of like encourage people to listen to their body, because we're not really existing in systems where like we can take our time all the time, right? Or we just like, we have to go. And so just kind of trying to offer that compassion piece and invitation to like, maybe like we can check in a little bit, and it seems like a small thing, but even building that muscle awareness of where we're just having that like listening to our body, I think for me was something I had to overcome, because I was just so used to being at such a baseline of pain. I'm like, when I was asked, oh, what's the level of pain? I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of like always hurting. So I feel like for me, I try to take that into like just some awareness into other people's like awareness, I guess. But
yeah, I appreciate that like you recognize that there's kind of this like culture or like almost system that we live in where like we're often taught to ignore signs in our body, where it's like, okay, well, you know, you gotta get to work, you gotta be productive, you gotta move on with your life. So even if you're like tired or sleepy or hungry or you're in pain, you just gotta kind of chug along. And you're in, you know, in the work that you do with your clients, you try to invite them to slow down and really listen and see what they can gain from that insight.
Yeah, very, very important. It's hard to always model. Yeah, right, because we're kind of existing in the systems too. I like to make that joke that like a lot of service workers, like we are always advocating for people to slow down and rest, but we don't always do that. Separate ourselves.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had mentioned that, you know, you come from this like long lineage in your family of like nurses and medical professionals. At the same time that you're seeing all these medical professionals and trying to figure out your health conditions. So I'm curious like how your family system also impacted like your health journey. So on the one hand, it's like, well, I kind of have support in my family, but at the same time, like they might not even really fully understand what's going on.
Yeah, I appreciate you pointing that out, because it was definitely something that I still go through, having to explain like what it is. It's hard because it's just like, I feel like it's that I feel like it just kind of like further it invalidates my pain in some way, especially for people that I would expect to have been like trained in it. But yeah, so my family is awesome. They're so supportive and like, you know, so gentle and want to learn more about what I have. But yeah, I mean, even, you know, my mom was a nurse for over 30 years, and she was more an ER psych nurse.
I see.
So it wasn't necessarily like OB nurse or like, you know, worked in, you know, gynecology. But yeah, it was definitely like this kind of what? And we have a lot of, you know, like doctors and nurses in the family, and also friends, right? Because my family works in the hospital, and they'd be like, well, like, oh my gosh, she has that. Like, there's just starting to be research about that. And like my mom would talk about it to some of the doctors at her job, and they'd be like, that's really difficult. That's really scary. So that's just kind of what I would hear about it. And I'm like, oh, great. Like, I have this thing. They're just trying to study it. And I feel like an enigma, you know, because I'm like, what do I do? So it's hard, because even to this day too, I think like a lot of nurses are not really well informed about like pelvic floor therapists and what they do, and how like they're an integral part of like healing and like aiding in like endometriosis. So
how did you explain to your mom like when you were starting to get your diagnosis, like what the condition is? Because it sounds like she also had to like receive a lot of education too.
Yeah, definitely. So when I was initially diagnosed with interstitial cystitis, like I thankfully had a great urogyn who she wrote down like on the paper what she thought was happening to me, right? Which so I just translating that to my mom, right? Like I have this, she thinks I have this bladder condition where they don't know what causes it, but I can't eat these foods and it just causes all this inflammation in my body. But with my endometriosis diagnosis, which was just so recently, I think my mom was aware of ovarian cysts, right? And that's a little bit more common. I mean, a lot of people get cysts and they're not really, I want to say like irritating to your body. They just kind of like go away every cycle. Yeah. Because I've had, I've gone to my appointments, like, yeah, it'll probably just like dissolve back in. And I'm like, what? Dissolve back in? That's crazy. What is, yeah, exactly. But with my endo, I had to explain to my mom, like, and she kind of, had a general idea. Oh, that's when something like grows. That's like from it's reproductive tissue that grows in other parts of your body. And they don't really know why. But it was really interesting because we were talking about how in my family, like we come from a line of like plantation workers, so exposure to like pesticides and how like epigenetics might be like connected to it, and how there's like more research on that, and like illness in my family. So yeah, just having to explain. I think my mom kind of knew like, okay, I know that there's such thing as like when tissue grows where it's not supposed to, but like understanding like how that pain looks, like I can't wear underwear sometimes, like I can't even, like I feel like this just deep pain in like my pelvis. I like my periods are painful. It's like hard for me to work sometimes. I'm thankful that I've had really gracious employers that like understand, thankfully are women too, that like can empathize. But yeah, so it comes with so much pain, and I don't want to speak for everyone with endo because it looks really different on every body. But the way that I've experienced it is, it's been debilitating pain in a lot of ways that I'm always open to talk about with anyone if they're ever curious, because it's a really scary thing to experience in your body when you feel like you do everything right, or you've just been given these tests back and they're like, we don't really know. Because the other thing is, when I say like my diagnosis with endo, like I've been diagnosed suspected, but the only way for them to truly know that it's endometriosis is if it's pretty invasive. They have to do surgery. Because no MRI, no like transvaginal ultrasound like will tell you that. It's just this record of like my painful periods and everything that I've had multiple specialists tell me, we're like pretty sure you have endo. So I do want to preface that too. So yeah, that's something as well.
Yeah. I feel like something that I'm noticing is like while it's really great to have like all this support from like the people in your family and like medical professionals who are like looking out for you, at the same time there's also the sense of like, I don't want to be like a medical mystery. Like
and so part of me is just like I say that and part of this is like it could not be that, but I just have the symptoms of it, really painful periods, cysts that have ruptured, just like a deep pain, and and so it's hard because like even then I don't know unless I choose to go forward with the surgery, which is so invasive, and the healing process is it's a hard recovery, it's uncomfortable. So yeah, definitely it's one of those things that it's a sensitive, difficult process. Yeah.
I'm curious, were there any like stressors maybe in your family that also affected? Because I feel like, like when you think about like the mind-body connection, if like things like maybe within your family or other relationships get stressful, like it can impact your health too.
Yeah, totally. Thank you for bringing that up, because I'm a big believer in that too when I bring it into my work and the people I engage with in the community and just my day-to-day life. But yeah, I definitely experienced some kind of tough family stuff, some estrangement from a parent that definitely I noticed would kind of increase just like the inflammation and stress in my body. And so I kind of came to that recognition of like, wow, my nervous system is very sensitive. And as I got older, I think I really learned how to say no, and when my body was saying no. And it's hard because it's not so black and white. But another thing, this little bit of a tangent, but a lot of women that experience like pelvic pain, they also have TMJ. So there's like a really strong correlation between those things. And these are things that I'm like actively learning in physical therapy as well. But anyways, that connection, why I'm bringing that back to like family stress is, and I do believe this in some way, like when they say that when you have like tension in your jaw, it's like you're holding back, and it's like repressed boundaries or repressed anger. That was definitely something I experienced for a good time in my life. And so being able to say no to a family member, and experiencing that kind of wow, I can finally stand up for myself. Now I'm an adult. Now I can say no. Now I can take back my time. That was a big part of my healing process. But yeah, it's difficult because sometimes that wiring is still something there to heal. But yeah, it's everything in the body is connected. There's not really like a clear like black and white solution to it.
It's also, I think, like such an important insight to have, because I think especially in like Western medicine, it's seen as like a divide, right? You have your mind and then you have your body. But I think in kind of like our culture, they're interconnected, and if anything, they're the same, right? Like your body tells you things about how you're feeling psychologically or emotionally, and your emotions also inform the somatic feelings that you have in your body too. So I'm really glad that that's although it sucks to have to go through all of the family stuff, I'm glad that it kind of taught you really how to listen, and kind of train that like mind body connection in both ways too.
100%. I think I finally was able to recognize, I think as I had healthier relationships in my life, developed healthier relationships with like my family, like my mom, like I have a really great supportive partner. So when I started to have like more just health in my life, I was like, oh, this is like not okay. It kind of made me realize, I was like, I think this is the problem. So I'm thankful for the support that I have in my life and the love I experience through these people, because it definitely pushed me to realize that I deserve more, and that it wasn't normal for me to be treated that way. Which is unfortunate that it took so long, but I guess in my eyes I'm like, okay, well, it kind of it could have taken much longer.
For sure.
Yeah.
Were there any other lessons you feel like you learned along the way, like through your health journey?
Self-advocacy above all. I think I've been through so many doctors, and I know a lot of women that have the same pain that I do, have suspected endo, do as well. And I just had to really learn to advocate myself in the medical setting, and even like in my social life, and even just my day-to-day, where I'm like, I need to do all these things, but I'm like, okay, do I? What is my system? Like, really getting in touch with my system, because I think also like being so busy, like working and going to school, it's just like you want to get everything done, having pets to take care of, having family, so I think I really had to learn how to just like really tune in with my needs and really become self-aware. And in the office they always joke that like, oh, she's the one that's always like talking about like body or awareness and stuff, and people are so kind and like, oh, you're so great at it. I feel like I'm so horrible at it, but that's why I talk about it so much, because I'm like, it's hurting me not to be aware. So that's something I definitely am still actively practicing. But yeah, and also I'd like to say, learning where to go to help, learning where to ask for help, like where it's actually helpful. So I think I recognize where, okay, this person, whether it's a physician or a therapist, like this person helped me, but they've reached the capacity with which they can help me. So recognizing that, like, oh, my time with you is kind of like, you can't help me anymore. And that's kind of a grief, like a grieving process, because it's like, I have this attachment to you, help me with this, which like a lot of people experience with mental health therapists too, right? Like you have seasons of your life where this person really held me, and then it's like, now I need help, you can't help me anymore. You don't know about this, right?
Mm.
So I've also experienced that too, where I need to like just ask for help and like go to the specialist and go to, and accept it, because I think for the longest time I was avoiding it, also because of expense.
For sure.
But recognizing like, I could spend money on other things, and I have spent money on other things, so I
Yeah.
need to prioritize my health.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's challenging, like at the same time that like that you're going to get more out of the help, out of maybe like a specialist, or someone who's able to kind of take you like further in like your health journey. It is kind of a grieving process to say goodbye to like the people that have helped you even get to that place.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally. And just I think also part of it is just as you age through your 20s, there's a lot of changes that you and your peers go through. So it's just even grieving like the people that that you've lost, or the jobs or the schools or whatever it is, and it's all connected, right? So I think even that part of it is part of my pain journey or my healing journey. Yeah.
Okay, so right now you're a wellness coordinator here at Ocapica. You're also an MSW student. How would you say like your journey with your health and your family kind of brought you to this moment?
Yeah. I would say that I definitely was influenced by like the matriarchs in my lineage. I think they were a force for sure. They still are. My mom is an amazing nurse, and she always taught me a lot of compassion. But she also had this layer of really strength in her and resilience. Obviously being an ER nurse, you have to have that kind of thick skin. But she also had this way with patients where she's like held patients' hands while they're dying, so that softness, and being able to come home still as a single mom and take care of me. I was always inspired by that. And also one of my aunties, she's an MSW, or she's an LCSW.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. And so she does more like macro policy work. So she works with indigenous populations up north, writing grants. So I'm definitely influenced by the women in my life, really a lot of women in my life, because being raised by a single mom, I had kind of a different type of family system. And so I'm thankful that I had so much community that was really tender and soft. I think that really poured a lot of love into me, and just made me like really grateful, and just really trusting of that there are good in people. Because I saw in people that weren't related to me, and I saw how they would pull through for like my mom and I. But yeah, I'm sorry, can you repeat the other part?
Oh, just like how it kind of brought you to like where you are right now with Ocapica.
Yeah.
Getting your own MSW too.
Okay, thank you for that reminder. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm getting stuck into my family story. But yeah, they definitely inspired me. And I didn't really know that I wanted to do this kind of work until like the last few years. Like I didn't always, like in high school I had no idea, I just kind of thought, oh, I'm going to be a STEM major because like that's what you do, not that it wasn't really forced on me. But it was just kind of what everyone did. Like I got accepted into a nursing program, like I was a biology, major. And then I had this sexuality studies professor who was amazing. And I ended up TAing for her, and I switched my major to women's studies. And I was so excited about it, so passionate about it. I thought I was going to get a PhD in women's studies and become a professor because I thought it was so cool. I was like, people need to know about this stuff. We don't talk about this enough. And then from there, though, I started working in ABA. I started working in public schools, and then I just started working with kids more. And then I worked my way, and I kind of just found more opportunities for mental health. And I think during the pandemic, honestly, I had a lot of exposure to that through everyone talking about it, what they were going through. And then my mom also being an ER nurse, like during COVID, and like what that meant for them. And so that really encouraged me to like, oh, hey, I can be this. Like, this is something that I can do. And I still was so inspired by the work that my family did, especially my mom in the hospital. I'd come visit her, and I thought it was so cool. And part of me still kind of wants to work in the ER as a social worker one day. and eventually maybe one day do my own private practice. I have like a lot of things in my mind that I'd love to do. But it's awesome that, you know, I found myself here too, because when I was working at a public school in Irvine, I had a social worker colleague who referred me to Acapica, and I think went to a well necessity meeting and was like, "You need to work here," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, okay." And so I'm thankful for another woman in my life who, you know, was like, I see this opportunity for you. I can see like you would feel at home there, and I think like for sure I feel more culturally aligned in the space that I'm working in. And yeah, so I'm just so thankful for community, and I think that's why like pursuing an MSW and like working with the libraries the way that I do now, and doing a lot of workshops, like so important for me, or even working with the clients and working with the whole system. I'm very, very passionate about.
Yeah. Oh, that's so amazing. I love that like you were inspired by this like long lineage of like really strong women, and you get to be a part of that too now and continue that legacy. That's so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's pretty much the end of the episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and see you next time.